Hello, and welcome to the Fast Book Pod channel, where you'll find the best book summaries. You'll watch book summaries just like watching a movie. Don't forget to subscribe and like the videos for in-depth reviews of great books. Let's get to the book summaries.
Let me tell you the story of a very strange man who travels across Russia with a plan so unusual that at first it almost sounds absurd. Yet, behind this strange idea lies a sharp satire about greed, bureaucracy, and the emptiness of society. This is the story of Dead Souls, the famous novel by Nikolai Gogol. First published in 1842, the novel is considered one of the greatest works of Russian literature. Blending humor, social criticism, and deeply symbolic storytelling. The story begins when a mysterious man named Pavel Ivanovich Chichikov arrives in a small provincial Russian town. No one in town knows exactly who he is or where he comes from, but he quickly makes a good impression. Chichikov is polite, well-mannered, and careful in his speech. He flatters everyone he meets and adapts his behavior depending on the person he is talking to. With government officials, he is respectful and serious. With wealthy landowners, he is friendly and charming, and with ordinary people, he behaves modestly. The town itself is typical of provincial Russia in the early 19th century. Government officials spend their days in offices doing very little work, passing documents back and forth through endless bureaucracy. Landowners live on their estates, often careless about the condition of their land or the lives of their peasants. Society revolves around gossip, dinner parties, and superficial politeness. Soon after arriving, Chichikov begins visiting important figures in the town: the governor, the vice-governor, the police chief, the prosecutor, and several other officials. He attends social gatherings, compliments everyone generously, and gradually gains their trust. People quickly begin to speak well of him. Some think he must be a wealthy landowner. Others believe he is an important government official. In truth, no one knows anything about his past. After establishing these connections, Chichikov begins traveling to nearby estates owned by landowners. Here, the true purpose of his visit slowly becomes clear. To understand his strange plan, it is important to know something about Russian society at the time. In 19th century Russia, serfs peasants, legally bound to the land, were counted in government censuses. These censuses did not happen frequently. Sometimes many years passed between them. If a serf died after the last census, the landowner still had to pay taxes for that person until the next census updated the records. On paper, the dead peasants still existed. They were called Dead Souls. Chichikov's idea is simple but bizarre. He plans to buy the legal ownership of these dead serfs from landowners. Because the peasants are already dead, the landowners are happy to get rid of them and stop paying taxes for them. For them, selling these dead souls costs nothing, and even saves money. But Chichikov has a larger scheme in mind. Once he collects enough of these names on paper, he plans to use them as collateral to obtain a large government loan. On official documents, it will appear that he owns hundreds of serfs, a sign of wealth and social status. In reality, the peasants are dead. The entire plan is a clever fraud designed to make him appear rich and powerful. The rest of the novel follows Chichikov as he visits a series of landowners, each representing a different type of human weakness or absurdity. Through these encounters, Gogol paints a satirical portrait of Russian society. The first landowner Chichikov visits is Menelov. Menelov is a polite and pleasant man, but also incredibly lazy and unrealistic. He spends most of his time daydreaming about grand plans that he never actually carries out. His estate is neglected because he prefers imagining improvements rather than making them. When Chichikov proposes buying his dead serfs, Manilov is initially confused, but quickly agrees. In fact, he is so friendly and naive that he decides to give them away for free. To him, the transaction seems like a harmless curiosity. Next, Chichikov visits a widow named Karabushka. She is cautious, suspicious, and obsessed with small profits. Unlike Manilov, she does not immediately trust Chichikov. She worries that she might be selling something valuable without realizing it. She asks endless questions and tries to bargain over the price, even though the souls are already dead and worthless. Eventually, after much negotiation, she agrees to sell them. The next landowner is Nozdrov, one of the most chaotic characters in a novel. Nozdrov is a gambler, liar, and troublemaker who constantly exaggerates his achievements. His estate is poorly managed because he spends more time drinking and playing cards than taking care of his land. When Chichikov proposes his strange purchase, Nozdryov becomes suspicious and refuses. Instead, he tries to trick Chichikov into gambling for the souls in a card game. The conversation quickly turns into an argument, and Chichikov leaves without completing the deal. After this unpleasant encounter, Chichikov visits Subakevich, a heavy, serious landowner who is extremely practical and shrewd. Unlike the others, Subakevich immediately understands that Chichikov must have some hidden purpose for wanting these dead peasants. Instead of being confused, he uses the situation to demand a high price. Subakevich even describes the dead serfs as if they were still alive, praising their skills and strength to justify charging more money. Despite the exaggerated claims, Chichikov eventually agrees to the purchase. Finally, Chichikov visits the landowner, Playushkin, perhaps the most tragic figure in the novel. Playushkin is an extreme miser who has allowed his entire estate to decay. His house is filled with useless junk that he refuses to throw away. His peasants live in terrible conditions because he hoards every possible resource. Plyushkin himself dresses in rags despite being wealthy. When Chichikov offers to buy the dead souls, Plyushkin is delighted because it allows him to avoid paying taxes for them. He eagerly sells hundreds of names. Through these encounters, Gogol shows different forms of greed, foolishness, laziness, and moral decay. Each landowner represents a different flaw in society. After successfully collecting many dead souls, Chichikov returns to the town feeling satisfied with his progress. However, rumors soon begin spreading. The townspeople start wondering why he has been visiting so many estates and purchasing dead peasants. Speculation grows wildly exaggerated. Some people believe Chichikov must be extremely wealthy. Others think he might be planning to buy large amounts of land. Soon, the gossip becomes even more absurd. Someone suggests that he might actually be a government spy investigating corruption. Another rumor claims he is planning to kidnap the governor's daughter. Each new rumor becomes more ridiculous than the last. The officials who once welcomed him warmly begin to feel uneasy. They realize that they know almost nothing about his background. Fear spreads among them because many of them are involved in small acts of corruption that they would prefer to keep hidden. Eventually, Nozdrev, the landowner who argued with Chichikov earlier, publicly reveals the strange truth that Chichikov has been buying dead souls. Once this information spreads through the town, everyone becomes suspicious and confused. Chichikov quickly realizes that the situation is becoming dangerous. His carefully constructed reputation is collapsing under the weight of rumors and misunderstandings. Fearing exposure, he quietly prepares to leave town. Before he departs, Gogol provides a long reflection on Chichikov's past. We learn that he grew up in poverty with a father who constantly advised him to save money and seek success at any cost. Throughout his life, Chichikov tried different careers and schemes to become wealthy, but each attempt failed. His obsession with financial success slowly shaped his personality, turning him into a man who values money and status above everything else. His plan to buy dead souls is simply the latest attempt in a long series of schemes. In the end, Chichikov leaves town hurriedly, carrying with him the documents proving ownership of hundreds of dead serfs. Whether his plan will ultimately succeed remains uncertain. Although the plot itself is strange and sometimes humorous, the deeper purpose of Dead Souls is social criticism. Gogol uses satire to expose the corruption, laziness, and moral emptiness he saw in Russian society. The landowners represent different types of human weakness: Manilov's empty dreaming, Korobashka's narrow-minded greed, Nozdrev's reckless dishonesty, Subokevich's cold calculation, and Plyushkin's destructive miserliness. Together, they form a portrait of a society where people care more about wealth and appearance than about morality or responsibility. Even the government officials in the town are portrayed as incompetent and self-interested. They spend more time gossiping and attending social events than performing their duties. Chichikov himself is not entirely evil, but he represents ambition without ethics. His desire for success leads him to treat human beings, even dead ones, as financial tools. The title, Dead Souls, has both a literal and symbolic meaning. Literally, it refers to the dead serfs whose names remain on government records. But symbolically, it suggests that many people in society are spiritually dead, living empty lives driven by greed, vanity, or laziness. Gogol originally intended the novel to be the first part of a larger work similar to Dante's Divine Comedy, where the story would progress from a kind of moral hell toward redemption. However, he never completed the full project. The existing novel remains unfinished, but still stands as one of the greatest achievements in Russian literature. What makes Dead Souls so memorable is its combination of humor and criticism. Gogol's descriptions are often exaggerated and absurd, yet they reveal uncomfortable truths about human nature. Through the journey of one clever but morally questionable man, the novel shows how a society obsessed with wealth and status can lose its sense of humanity. And that is why, even today, Dead Souls continues to fascinate readers not only as a strange story about buying the names of the dead, but as a powerful satire about the living.
It was a very good book. Did you like it too? You can write your thoughts in the comments section. See you in the next summary.